Frisky Britches is changing the way women shop for underwear. No more emergency runs to the store on laundry days or digging through piles of underwear to find something that you like. Instead, Frisky Britches sends 2 brand name panties straight to your door each month. As a woman who considers herself a full-time scumbag, I can say that this is an actually wonderful company and a great service, and you will thank me later. Go to Frisky Britches. They have your back when it comes to feeling your best, starting from the moment you put on your britches. Go to shopfriskybritches.com to get started, and you get 20% off your first month using the code GRACE.
Not too deep with Grace Helbig.
Welcome to another episode of Not Too Deep with me, Grace, and Helbig the First. Today we have an amazing comedian, actor, writer, and punk band extraordinaire performer. John Ross Bowie is here with us. You know him from Speechless, you know him from The Big Bang Theory, and you're about to know a little bit more about his old school roots in the punk band Egghead. Get ready for this episode of Not Too Deep with John Ross Bowie. It's always fascinating for me to go on like the social media platforms of like the people that exist in, you know, traditional media and see like how they operate there, because I myself have been doing it for so long and I still like my blood boils when I go online. I get like a visceral reaction and like a weird kind of chaos in my brain of like, how do I exist on social media? In what way should I use this said platform for something?
Yeah, that whole idea of what we are platforming and what ideas we're putting forward and you know our own and others is daunting.
Very daunting. Yeah. And so I wonder, like, it must be kind of freeing to be able to act, because then you get to like just kind of exist creatively without consequence. And then to like do something on Twitter or on Instagram or whatever it might be feels heavier than that.
Well, I wouldn't say without consequence. I mean, I'm occasionally personally called out for, you know, content of the things I'm working on.
Okay.
And there is always that deflection of like, yeah, well, you want to actually talk to the writers. I'm a hired hand here.
Yeah.
I'm an independent contractor. It's not I just put up the drywall. Don't look at me. I'm not designing the house. So there is a certain degree of responsibility that I think previous generations of actors never knew from. You know, it's not like people were, you know, tweeting Sean Connery in the 60s and being like, your character is sexist.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? You know, there'll be something, you know, especially on a show like Speechless, where we're tackling something that is not dealt with in television in general, but specifically not in comedy.
Yeah,
you know, we're gonna misstep now and again. We're gonna use the wrong word or something.
Sure, but I think it's you learn as you go, and also I think it's a great. My mom just recently retired, but she worked with special needs kids like for her entire life.
No kidding.
Yeah, she was a teacher's assistant in a class with special needs kids, and so when I watched Speechless, I was very like excited by the idea of not making it feel precious, like not making it feel normal, making it feel real, making it feel like the way we all exist in the world. And I thought that must have been a cool project for you to sign on to when you first heard about it, that like, cool, this is the first entry into dialogue that is different than the way we've been talking about like kids with, you know, special needs before.
It was interesting because in like four pages into the pilot, there's a moment where the middle child tells his older brother JJ, who uses a wheelchair, calls him a bully because JJ is being a dick, and it's a throwaway line. He just looks down at him and goes, bully, and I was like, wow, that's a whole new paradigm, isn't it? That's brand new. We've not seen that before, and it made me really, really want the job. I think the idea is just what you said, to talk about it, but keep it from getting too precious. Yeah, definitely keep it from getting too sentimental. Yeah, and at the same time, you know, be, you know, honest and respectful, but recognize that, you know, he's a teenager before he's anything else.
Oh, yeah. He's a human being at the end of the day. Yeah. Like his brain and his needs and wants operate the same way that we all need and want things, which I think is so cool about that show. But also as a dad, you have 2 kids?
Yeah.
How old?
They are 11 and 8.
God bless. That seems intense.
It's intense. Yeah, it's intense. It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're preteens.
They are preteens, although, God, man, my 11-year-old is in a rush to get there. She is.
I thought she was like literally rushing a sorority, and I was like, why? How?
Yeah, she's rushing Tridelt. I don't know. UCLA
Fingers
has
crossed.
like a new. No, she's just in terms of like the odd door slam and the occasional no one is listening to me stuff. That's happening already, and
That's a fun soundtrack to live by every day.
It is. They're great kids. They really are great kids, and I adore them. But they present, and they're crazy in two different directions too. So it's not like both of our kids have the same issue. They're just like beep, beep, and they're off in their own little camps, being crazy in their own respective ways, and so you have teaches
to deal
a lot
with,
about patience.
Yeah, you have to deal with all of it.
Yeah.
You don't learn just one avenue. Do they think you're cool or lame for being an actor?
I think that's one of the things they think is cool. There are a million things about me that they find lame.
Sure.
But the acting thing, I think they're pretty psyched about.
Are they?
And I think
it gives them cool credit by default.
It might give them cool credit by default. I think the great thing about Speechless is that I can, as occasionally edgy as it is, I can still watch it with my kids.
Yeah. Do they watch stuff that you're in?
They do. I mean, not everything, but yeah, they watch Speechless. It is, honest to goodness, like they're really psyched when there's a new episode, which is a lovely feeling. Have they seen the episode of House of Lies where I suck on Kristen Bell's toes? No, they have not. No, they have not.
They're preteens. Give them time.
They have not seen any of the work I've done for the Showtime channel. I don't see what they would gain from that. I call Gillian Jacobs a cock whore on Netflix's Love. None of their business. They don't need that.
I mean, yeah. My dad has said things not filmed that I don't need to know about.
Precisely. But yeah, I think for the moment they think it's pretty interesting, and they enjoy it. Yeah, I think it's cool.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's really good. Are they friends, or are they at
with
odds?
each other?
Yeah.
Oh, the short answer is yes.
Okay.
As of this morning around 7:40, no, it's
got
disastrous. Oh my God,
I
had to
minute by
separate
minute.
them. It really is. I think in the larger, I mean, there's plenty of times when my older girl questions why we had a younger boy. But
it's a personal attack that you and your wife did to her.
Yeah. No, she takes it very personally. She seems to think it was rather vindictive, and that's odd, but it's mostly they get along, and when they don't, see, my wife and I are both only children. So
children raising children.
Yeah. So when we see these two kids fighting, we're just like, go away from each other, I guess. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's when I talk to Mayim about it, like the fact that she raises young boys like blows my mind, that I'm like, how are you so of sound mind while also your brain has to be so in tune with like, how do we fix this? They are both upset and we don't know what to do other than like animals, separate them.
So your mom's got two, you've got two younger brothers?
I have an older brother and a younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So I'm the middle child.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's it's intense. I don't know how you deal with it while being in the creative universe at the same time.
Well, you can't really do both. You got to just be home and completely focused on that. Once in a great while, I'll get a call from like a sitter saying like, Walter is doing blank. Can you deal with Walter? And I'll say, put him on the phone. That's great. I'm like, we're going to have to hold the roll 1 second. I have a small fire to put out. Thank you so much.
It's just, a tiny match.
But but yeah, I think by and large, my thing is I think they're going to really appreciate having each other as they get older.
For sure.
Yeah.
My younger brother is 2.5 years younger than me.
Okay.
And yeah, we were at odds growing up. And then as adults, we become like really, really close friends.
See, that's good to hear. And
so there's hope.
That was the long game. That's what we were aiming for is something like
scheduled it accordingly.
Yeah, they're about 27 months apart. And he's a big dumb boy and he crashes into everything. And she is
that's his log line as a human. He's a big dumb boy.
On a number of levels, he really is. Sweet kid, but just Hulk smash. And he so he's a lot, but then again, she's a lot, and she like every once in a while be like, pick your battles, man.
Yeah.
He just farted on the couch. We don't have to make this World War III. Yeah.
But if it's a fabric couch, it absorbs the smell and it will never go away.
Okay.
So it's worth fighting for.
All right, well, I should go home and reupholster.
Okay, you grew up in New York City.
I did.
Born and raised.
Born in Queens. Grew up in Manhattan.
Born in Queens. And then you went to Ithaca College.
I did.
Which is outside of New York.
To the tune of about 5 hours, but yeah.
I went to Ramapo College, which is in northern New Jersey, which is close to Ithaca. And I remember people transferred from my college to go to Ithaca because that was the step up from my
Really?
college. Yeah.
You know how I found Ithaca?
How?
It was my senior year girlfriend's safety school. That's how I found Ithaca.
Okay.
So much for Ramapo then, I guess.
Wait, so you're...
Which would have made Ramapo my safety school then if we're following this.
Oh, what could have been. Wait, so you went to Ithaca because it was your high school girlfriend's...
No, it's just how I discovered it.
Oh, that's how you found it.
I just discovered it. I was like, what's Ithaca? And she said, it's this little school in central New York.
Because, what's
my
around
safety.
there?
Well, the thing is that Ithaca itself is awesome. The town itself is actually... It's beautiful.
I've never been.
It's really, really gorgeous.
Okay.
It is really that's a oft-used
gorgeous.
pun. It's an oft-used pun.
Oh yeah, gorgeous.
There's a 6 mile gorge that cuts through the
People
whole.
People wore the T-shirts.
Precisely.
Yeah.
I never did.
Well, that's good.
But it is really it is a photogenic, beautiful. Autumn in Ithaca is just like you can't even believe you're near this level of natural beauty, especially if you grew up in Manhattan. It's a really progressive town for a small town.
Interesting.
It had a socialist mayor for all 4 years that I was there, who ran unopposed.
Really?
Ben Nichols, and I don't mean like
his name is Ben Nichols.
Ben Nichols, and I don't mean like.
Did he tap dance on the side? Because that sounds like a Ben Nichols thing.
I know it does. No, he just he really just tried to
be good,
tax the wealthy and keep businesses small in downtown Ithaca. I mean, he was a legitimate ran on the socialist ticket. I'm not like using it like, oh, what the Democrats are. They're all socialists. I mean, the guy straight up ran as a socialist and won twice. And he and so the town's got this. It's a real college town. I mean, you've got Ithaca College and you've got Cornell right across town.
Right, because that was the thing. Wasn't there like a field party that happened between those two schools once a year? That's the mythology that I heard about Ithaca and Cornell, is that there was some like big field in between these two colleges and that everyone would party in the field once a year. And that might have been just like a selling point for kids to go from Ramapo to Ithaca. I don't know.
Not when I was there. We hardly ever saw the Cornell students off campus, really, because they were really working very hard, and the Ithaca students were not.
Okay.
The Ithaca students were going downtown to see Blues Traveler. Yeah, I'll date myself. I'm class of 93. What's up?
I mean, you guys are art students. You got to take in the culture.
So it was this. Ithaca's this beautiful town, and I guess I went because of the towns I went into, it was far enough away that I wouldn't be tempted just to like go back to New York every weekend. I wanted to really push myself a little bit and get on my.
But that's like something that I think is very hard, or I assume is very hard of people that live in New York, to get out of the city and engage in nature, trees, greenery, slower pace of life, people that are slightly more considerate than other people.
It was a massive adjustment. And I remember going up there at one time, again, this is 1989, but I remember trying to call my mom at one point, and being told on the phone that all the outgoing circuits in the town were busy. And I was like, that's not a thing that happens. That's not. But
really?
It was I still have my issues with, being a tightly wound New Yorker, but
Sure.
if it hadn't been for 4 years in Ithaca, I think I'd be a disaster. I I think it slowed me down.
Just a breath of fresh air, just like a patience lesson.
A deceleration and a readjustment of priorities.
Yeah.
And it was really crucial for me, I think.
Also, you get to see people that exist outside of New York, because New York, I feel like I lived there for a few years. That's where I met Jack, in New York, and we both grew up in Jersey, and so the pace of life and the fighting for space constantly.
Fighting for space.
Yeah, but like the subconscious fighting for space.
Oh, no,
happens.
it's a constant struggle.
Yeah. And then when you leave it, then you're like, what is breathing?
Yeah.
What does space mean? And like now you living in Los Angeles now for so long, like that must be also an adjustment.
It has been, yeah, and I really like it.
Yeah,
I
you
really
do?
like LA a lot. Yeah,
Really?
Do you like LA?
It took me a second. I did not like it at first because I was so accustomed to the pace of New York that when I got out here, I didn't trust people that actually wanted to know what was wrong.
That's amazing.
That actually had concern at all. That I was just like, "What do you want from me? What do you want? What do you need?" But no, that's fascinating. Okay,
they're just legitimately checking in, Grace. Let them help you.
I trust no one.
I hear that.
I still carry all my bags with me at all times, everywhere. I don't leave anything in my car.
Here's what I miss. I miss autumn in New York. Autumn in New York is pretty.
I miss seasons.
I miss no, I don't miss seasons. You heard me wrong. I miss autumn.
Okay, yes.
I did 4 years in Ithaca. Fuck winter forever.
I miss the 2 weeks where the leaves look nice and everyone's okay with not picking up snow. Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then when the snow is black by mid-February, you miss that? You miss getting that in your socks? Do you really? You're nostalgic for that, Woody Allen? No, I will not romanticize that place. I mean, I'm glad I'm from there. I did 30 years of my life there, and that was great. But yeah, I like it out here. Kind of wish we weren't on fire quite as often as we are, Los Angeles and the environs, but I like it out here.
Yeah, we sub snow for fire. Right. So it works out. Okay, we're going to take a break in a second, but before we do, I wanted to ask you about, because you, from what I've heard, and maybe you've talked about this a million times over, and you don't have to if you don't want to, just that you worked at an office job for a long time.
Several.
Yeah. So what were the office jobs that you worked at before you got into like the groove of acting, before you got into like...
This is not a right before commercial break question. I mean, I worked in, I was temping, but a lot of these jobs were temp to permanent. So they were always like looking for, listen, we've got some openings here if you want to check this out. So I worked in publishing and advertising and pharmaceuticals and engineering and reinsurance and insurance. They're two different things. Consulting, accounting, television, loosely television production. Like I worked for the president of program at WPIX. But I did a full-time, like actual on the clock with benefits at a very large consulting firm.
What does that mean?
What does consulting mean? Again, man, you're trying to go into a break here.
I
will say this, a lot of it's horseshit consulting. And, but it basically is, they are it's a partnership that goes to corporations and help, and quote unquote helps their businesses run more smoothly. But 9 times out of 10, that means they, restructure their human resources, which means they do mass layoffs.
Got it.
Yeah.
So were any of those jobs something that you wanted upward mobility in?
There were a couple where I thought about it.
Really?
And I was at the consulting firm long enough to get a raise.
Because it sounds like you bounced around a bit.
Yeah.
You tasted all the flavors of the rainbow in the temp world.
Because my parents worked in offices, and it kind of felt like I had a deep-seated need to be an actor since when I was a little kid, but it looked just so unstable.
Right.
Especially growing up in New York, where you don't just see the successful actors, you see the ones who are struggling. And you see, that on my block, there are people who are, scraping by.
Sure.
Who are on Broadway one year and are waiting tables the next.
Yeah.
And I think I looked to office work as a source of like, well, this is what grown-ups do. This is stability.
Yeah.
And this is what it means to be an adult.
Yeah.
And it just eventually broke me like a twig, and I was like, I have to at least try acting.
You can't say it eventually broke you like a twig when you have a resume of 12,000 different temp jobs.
And then I put myself back together.
It seems like you kept putting the twig back into a branch.
I did. I really did. No, you're not wrong. I kept going, well, maybe this is the one. Maybe this is the job that I will like. And gosh, these are pretty offices, and look at this view. And you tell yourself all number of things. And I'm not knocking people who work in an office, because I think they're the engine of the economy. I just was bad at it.
Yeah. Same. I worked in an office for 3 months, and then I went back to waiting tables because I couldn't deal with fluorescent lighting. I couldn't deal with just like, I got upset by like the rules of the hours that I had to be there when I wasn't doing anything that was actually helping the company. And
the looking busy part is really hard.
Which is acting in a way.
Yes, it is, no question.
You were practicing acting.
I really was. Like, oh, there's typey. Morning, Jill. Typing. Because they're all named Jill.
Yeah, no. Everyone in an office is named Jill.
It's true.
Just side note.
That's science.
If you guys are applying for jobs at any point,
you better be named Jill.
Get ready. What was, quickly, the shortest job that you had temping, if you remember? Was there any that you were literally revolving door in and out?
I got fired from a pharmaceutical company I don't even remember why I got fired. I guess I was slacking off or whatever. There wasn't any like massive
no like circumstance that happened.
No, I was bumping heads with my supervisor, and like my whole deal was I was supposed to set up a meeting with all these executives, and none of the executives knew who I was, so none of them returned my call. So I was just in this cycle of like, I will set up the meeting when these people called me back, and they're not calling me back.
Right.
And so it became this whole cycle of thing. But I remember specifically at that time, the pharmaceutical company had introduced a drug onto the market, a heart medication, for older people who had angina, and they were being investigated by the Justice Department because some people had died from screwing up the dosage, from taking 2 pills instead of 1.
Got it. Okay.
And if 2 is an overdose and 1 is the proper dosage, that's an unstable drug.
Yeah,
but they gave us this press release where they were like, here, if you are contacted by any members of the media, here are the talking points. And one of the talking points was you were allowed to say that, yes, one of the side effects of the drug, if improperly used, was total mortality.
Total mortality. Not half mortality.
Total mortality.
No, 1/4 mortality.
No, total 100%. 100%.
Wow.
And it was that kind of corporate newspeak that just eventually drove me out of my mind.
Yeah, was Edgar Allan Poe writing these PR releases for
you? God, would that it were Poe.
Oh, wow. One of the side effects is never more. Breathe. Great. Wow. I mean, but that's all giving you the experience and the tools and the tool chest of things that you can pull from in your acting world now.
And it does, like, sometimes it's really important to know what you don't want to do.
I 1,000% subscribe to that philosophy.
And I'm also like, every once in a while I'll meet an actor who's my age, and is like, oh, you know what?
Near total mortality.
I'm hovering around 60% right now. And but I'll meet an actor my age who has to have wardrobe tie as tie for him. And I'm like, you've never worked in an office. You've never worked in an office. You rank amateur. You have never worked in an office.
Really?
In fact, you've never even waited tables at someplace nice.
Yeah.
And it's like my one
trigger.
This little trigger. It really is. This little like bit of snobbery that comes through where I'm like,
I'm with you though.
I think a simple 4 in hand. You're in your 40s. You should know this.
I am with you 1,000%. I think that they should sub home ec for waiting tables at a Chili's in every high school, just so you can learn about like
every
humans.
MFA program. No, high school. Yes.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we get back, we have more questions about just total mortality here on Not Too Deep. We'll be right back.
Not too deep.
Today's episode of Not Too Deep is brought to you by Body Boss. Squeezing in time for your family, work, and hitting the gym feels impossible, so something's got to give, and it's probably the gym. But Body Boss can help. Unlock your dream body with the great 12-week Body Boss workout program. Do it at home in just 24 minutes a day, 3 days a week. That's less than 90 minutes a week with no equipment and no subscription. Thanks to the hashtag Boss Effect, or excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, you burn fat longer after your workout. Plus, with caring pro coaches and a free Facebook group of supportive kick-ass women, you are never alone. So try Body Boss with the special offer just for you listeners. Get 25% off the fitness guide at bodyboss.com/grace. Order now and get free shipping and a money-back guarantee. This is the best deal ever. Get Body Boss for 25% off at bodyboss.com/grace. 12 weeks from now, you'll thank yourself starting now. That's bodyboss.com/grace.
Not too deep.
The Burst Sonic toothbrush is the best oral care you'll ever buy. The Burst Sonic toothbrush has built-in 2-minute timer and is designed to make teeth whiter and brighter in just days. Burst is best known for its charcoal-infused super soft bristles. The charcoal removes surface stains and is antimicrobial, which helps keep the bristles hygienic for the lifetime of the brush head. It's proven to remove plaque and stains without damaging the enamel of your gums. Burst has the most powerful motor on the market and the longest battery life, with up to 4 weeks use on just 1 hour's charge. It's fantastic. They sent me one of these toothbrushes and I absolutely love it. The built-in timer is an excellent little accessory. It keeps you really in the know of how slowly or quickly you're brushing your teeth, so I highly recommend. Go to burstoralcare.com to get your Burst Sonic toothbrush today, and with the Burst subscription program, you'll get a new replacement head every 3 months for just $6 each, and if you use my code GRACE, GRACE, at checkout, you'll get 10% off your order. That's burstoralcare.com with code GRACE for 10% off. Don't miss out on this special offer. It's a great gift idea, too. Just saying. Go to burstoralcare.com and use code GRACE.
Okay, we're talking a little bit about improv comedy, sketch comedy, UCB, etc. I always love to hear, because it just, I think, brings us closer together, about your worst comedy show experience, if there's one that comes to mind.
Oh, Jesus. I'm blessed that I have several. I remember we had a show around the turn of the century. You heard me.
Y2K? After you survived Y2K?
After we survived Y2K, after the riots and the looting stopped, we had a show from 99 to fall 99 to fall 2001 called Feature. That was improvised movies at UCB. It was a double feature of improvised movies.
Improvised movies, full movie.
Full movies. We fade on, and we were off. We would get a song lyric.
Got it.
For the suggestion, and that would give us sort of an image or whatever. And we would do. We didn't pick the genre beforehand. We would stumble across stuff like, we do 40s noir. We did a MGM musical. We one time did a blaxploitation film, and this was before smartphones, thank God.
Wow. And, yeah. Because I'm like, that doesn't exist anywhere. Phew.
Yeah. But it was a really fun show, and it was a crowd pleaser too. We'd sell out every night. It was Saturday nights at 10 o'clock, and it was kind of our thing. Anytime we took that show on the road, like if we went to an improv festival or in Chicago or wherever, I just felt like we did not have the home court advantage, and we just shit the bed. It was just never, particularly me. I remember specifically being like, I am having a bad show tonight. This is not going well for John. And I know it's about the ensemble and the team, but it was still hard to not be like, wow, this is not going well.
There is an I in team, and it's
me. And the cast was my wife, Jamie Denbo. It was Rob Corddry and Brian Husky and Seth Morris, and all these great people were in the show. Will Burson, Scott Armstrong, Dynamo, really, really strong people. We'd have guys like Owen Burke guest with us sometimes.
Yeah.
But it would anytime we took it off campus.
Yeah.
Just really died.
And we asked Thomas Miladich a little bit about this too, like with him traveling, that anytime you go, it's interesting to see where your sweet spots are in the country outside of New York.
Well, he does tons of, him and Ben do that tour, and they go everywhere.
But did you guys have a sweet spot outside of New York, or was New York literally home court advantage? And then
we did not have a sweet spot out of New York.
Okay.
No. Now, I will grant you, we did not do the extensive touring that Middleditch and Schwartz do, but we got out enough to know that, like, no place like home, no place like home. It was really interesting. I don't know if it was there is something magical about a UCB audience. I will say this. I mean, they show up game.
Yeah.
And they show up ready to experiment.
And ready to have a good time. They come with a positive attitude, which is bizarre in New York that people show up with a positive attitude, but they're there because
the one place.
Yeah, but it's also, it just fosters community. It fosters literally like we're all here together. We're doing this together. This exists for us right now, right here.
Yeah.
And that's what I love so much about improv is like the lack of smartphones, the lack of filming, the lack of, watching it back, like the existence and presence in the moment.
Yeah.
But you still perform, you and your wife still perform out here in LA?
Occasionally, yeah.
Occasionally?
Again, you heard the thing about the two kids. But we do
the two chains.
Yeah. We do a 2-person show called Super Married.
Super Married?
Because we met doing improv in the fall of '98, taking our level 2 class with Amy Poehler as our teacher.
Never heard of her.
And
amazing.
She I think she waits tables. Actually, Armando was my level 1. Armando
really?
Diaz, who founded the Pit. Yeah. I got in. It's like the one time in my life I could say I was kind of in on the ground floor.
Yeah.
I'm late to the party on so many things, but I was kind of in on the ground floor when UCB came to New York.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And so I got like all the big teachers, either as teachers or as coaches at one point or another.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I took with Ian and both Matts and Amy and and Ali. I took a sketch writing class with Ali, and it was I got
him monologuing and you guys taking notes occasionally.
I picked up some good things from Ali's class.
You got to start a business.
He's not for everybody, but he.
So you and your wife doing improv now. Do you guys have ground rules? Is there a safe word when it's like, this is getting too real in a scene? You're talking about something we haven't resolved as a couple.
It's really funny you ask this because we don't have a safe word, but we have a convention that we did. She sprang on me one night, and now we go back to it where we will be doing a scene, and if it goes off the rails, we will cut to the car after the show. And we'll do the standard improv car with the 2 chairs down center, and we'll sit down and she'll be driving. And
wait, so she initiated this?
She initiated this one time, and because the scene had just gone. I don't remember how it had gone off the rails, but it had gone off the rails. Sure. And so we hunkered down and we started doing the scene, and she's like, "So what the hell was that all about?" And now it's become it killed, and it keeps killing it, and it's a convention we go back to when we do this show of like little check-in.
Yeah.
And we're just playing ourselves, and we're improvising the conversation and kind of hashing through what went right and what didn't go right. And
you basically get to be the voice of the audience in that moment.
Exactly. And but also ourselves, because we're tireless self-critics, and how about you don't play my mom in a scene? How about we never do that again? And it becomes this sort of act break. That we can introduce in to kind of get our footing again.
That's so nice.
So it's interesting. So we don't have a safe word. If we had a safe word, we wouldn't need the car scenes.
Got it. Well, so your wife is a genius, and I would love for you to ask her to be on my podcast when you go back home.
I will.
No, that sounds very fun. It seems like to have a significant other that you get to play with and be ridiculous with, and then also raise children with is kind of like
it's a fun date night for us too. We'll try to get if we can get like a 7:30 slot at the UCB, and then catch dinner afterwards.
Whoa!
Because we're cashed by 10, so it's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sleep in.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question. So, you recently made your stage debut with the play Laughter on the 23rd Floor.
Yes.
Okay.
Like professional, like actual run of a play debut, yeah.
Very impressive. Neil Simon wrote it in 1993. It's set in 1953.
Yes.
Can you explain the plot to an 11-year-old?
You know what TV is, right?
Heard of it.
So back when TV was really early on in the days of TV, like before Mommy and Daddy were born, there was, actually I'm going like 7 now. My 11-year-old is like, it's about the early days of television. My 11-year-old came and saw it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's about the early days of TV. It is based on, Neil Simon used to write on a show called Your Show of Shows, which was a hit the way we don't have hits anymore. Like if you were watching TV, chances are you were watching Your Show of Shows. Like half the country that had TVs would have been watching Sid Caesar and Your Show of Shows. And this is loosely based on his time on the writing staff there. So we were all playing comedy writers in the early 1950s with, the specter of McCarthyism kind of looming over everything. And these traditional demands of TV executives to make the show less smart and more accessible. And it was interesting. It's Neil Simon, and it's not even one of the great Neil Simons, maybe. So there's some corny stuff in it, and there's some jokes that were like, they were like dad jokes. Where it's like, oh God, I'm really gonna have to. It was an effort to get these over the finish line. Some of these jokes, but it was interesting as sort of a timepiece. And
also, it must be interesting to do stage versus doing something like Big Bang Theory or doing, just something.
Well, stage and Big Bang Theory, I think that's an easy transition. Stage and Speechless are a bigger jump, but Big Bang Theory, you got an audience
there. It's like
there.
A play, right?
Yeah, you do a play. It's a play a week, you know, and you rehearse for a week, and then you put it up in front of an audience who are predisposed to dig you. No question.
Sure.
It's Big Bang Theory. But, you have to learn how to surf laughs and how to, not cut other people off and have that balance. So I think it did equip me ably for doing a Neil Simon play.
Sure.
But yeah, it's what's interesting versus it really is just the physics of it. For TV, you're framed like this, and you can act accordingly. For a play, there's people who are, 300 feet away from you.
Right.
And you have to act so that they can read your emotions.
Right. So you're trying to be real, but you're also trying to be demonstrative at the same time.
Yeah.
And where is the fine line between all of that?
Which was really fun.
Was fun?
Oh, really fun.
Really?
Yeah, really fun to play with it. And and we had a month rehearsal. We had a professional theater schedule. So we had a 5 days a week rehearsal. And it's one of those plays where once everyone's out on stage, they just stay there. There's not a lot of exits and entrances. We're just all out there.
Yeah.
So you would have 2 pages, 3 pages where you wouldn't speak, which is another great exercise.
In being a human being, existing.
Just existing, listening without taking focus.
Being the best extra of all time, basically.
And what was neat too is that the people I was working with, we had this cast of theater vets, some of whom had done Broadway.
Yeah.
And it was, I just got so much watching them listen to other people and just the hard work that went into it was really a blast. Man. It was fun. It was really fun.
But that's how you know that it's hard work, is that it looks effortless. It looks easy. It looks normal. It looks like you haven't really done much rehearsal for it, not knowing that you have put all these hours in. You have put all this time and mental energy into all of this to make it look normal.
Yeah, I think by the time we got it up, it was a really tightly wound machine. And
would you do it again? Would you do more stage stuff?
Oh, I'd love to.
Really?
Oh God, I'd love to.
Is there a passion project you haven't done yet that you really want to get into?
Oh God. There's classic plays I'd like to do. I'd love, I'm aging into George from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. I'd love to play that. It's a 3.5-hour play, but I'd love to do that.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah. There's all sorts of, I'd love to do Richard III. I slouch anyway. Let's do this. My posture sucks. Let's cash in,
Double down.
Yeah. I had a great time doing theater, and I loved that. I loved having a shitty show and knowing that tomorrow night I had another chance.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it lives and dies within 24 hours.
It really does. I loved. It really is true what they say. Every audience is different.
Yeah. Did you have any standout audiences that just they didn't know what they were buying tickets for, and they showed up, and this is not for them?
Oh yeah, we had some. It was interesting because it is a 30-year-old play that is set 60 years ago.
Yeah.
It was the only time in my career, and I've said this before, but it is worth repeating. It's the only time in my career I've ever looked out at the audience and been like, they're really old. We got this. We got this, guys. They are ours to lose. This is us. because you know how like if you were doing a UCB show, you'd peek out like, oh, it's an older crowd tonight, guys. Let's watch it out there. Let's tread lightly. But if I'm going out there with a joke about how Lana Turner's super hot, or some reference to General MacArthur, I want an older audience there to catch.
They're in your pocket.
They really are, and it was so. There were some audiences that were just that remembered this shit. That had visceral. We were joking. There's this guy Jason Grazel who played the lead, and the Neil Simon proxy, basically, who narrates the play, and he has a few moments where he has to talk about Senator McCarthy and the blacklist, and we kept worrying that somebody in the audience was going to stand up and go, "You don't know, you couldn't know, kid."
Well, that's my concern. So that's my worry, is that like someone's going to think that they're watching their own home movies and like shout out something very.
You just have to rely on the social contract that people don't heckle at the theater,
Yeah, true.
But it was. But it was really interesting. Like, so at intermission, it'd be like, so we had a real, you don't know crowd out there, didn't we? They were in it though. They were digging it. They were old enough to remember, but they really enjoyed it. It was a blast. It's a little like theater called the Gary Marshall Theater in Burbank, Toluca Lake, if you want to get specific.
Sure.
And, it's got a subscription base, and it was what is that, 120 seats, I think, that theater.
But that's like intimate and also feels like a full experience.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Exactly that. It was intimate, but like, we're doing a play. This is, I've got wardrobe, and these are sets.
And there's an audience, but it does feel like we're in it all together.
And people had playbills.
Oh, that's how you know it's theater.
I had a playbill for the first time in my career. That was great. It was super exciting to have a playbill. Yeah.
That's very cool. Okay, now I want to get from things that are very cool and sincere to guilty pleasures. Is there anything that you watch on TV, that you listen to, that you consider a guilty pleasure? Even though I don't like to call them guilty pleasures anymore. I like to call them just like things that I like.
Look, I like
with a sigh.
Yeah, I try not to put garbage in my head, like
God bless.
I try not to, and I don't see the problem is I've got friends who watch.
I watch all reality TV. I do put garbage in my head.
A lot of smart people do, and a lot of smart people are able to watch it with a critical eye, and not lose brain cells. And it isn't that maybe I just don't trust myself to like not just watch this and tune out, or just get contemptuous or feel bad about humanity.
Yeah, you can get upset, and it makes it's a waste of time to be upset at it, which is what I've learned, that just be kind of like, it's fascinating to me.
Right. Yeah. If I could get that anthropological distance, I'd be all in. I don't know that I can. I mean, guilty pleasures. Grace, I'm 47, man. I gotta like what do you
watch?
Like.
What do you watch? Like, when you have free time?
What I watch, I have to say, the stuff I watch is like the prestige, critically acclaimed shit. What I listen to is all over the goddamn map. And there are times where, like, for all of my punk and indie rock credentials, I need to hear scenes from an Italian restaurant by Billy Joel. I need to hear about Brenda and Eddie. And I need him to take 7.5 minutes to tell me about it. And that's not cool. And I'll own that, but I don't give a shit. I saw him at the Hollywood Bowl a couple years ago. It was a great show. It just...
But you can have this criticism on music because you were in a band, right?
I was in a punk rock band. I played house parties and squats. I played a fucking squat in South Philly with stolen electricity. There's a guy who has a tattoo of my band on his ankle. I've slept on floors all up and down the East Coast. I'm punk as fuck. And you know what? Scenes from an Italian Restaurant is it's got 3 movements, Grace. It is a piece. It has a fucking arc.
I just want, as my ringtone, I've played squats.
I played squats. I played a building in Philadelphia where people were not allowed to be living by the city of Philadelphia.
And so you had stolen electricity.
They were powering the amps by running cords out to the street lamps, where they had jimmied open the bottom of the street lamps and like done this configuration.
Okay.
South Philly.
I'm from across the bridge from Philadelphia. My parents still celebrating the Eagles
you're looking
Super
for an
Bowl.
actual address? I can't help you.
No.
Okay.
I worked at the Dave & Buster's on Penn's Landing for a month. It was the worst experience of my life.
The most gorgeous. That's like a gritty specific is what that is.
It's a sad specific. That was my like.
The Dave & Buster's in Penn Landing.
Yeah, it was really bad. But
I got my nose pierced. I got my hood pierced on South Street. Like, oh great. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got penis pasta and a regrettable tattoo on South Street. It's the worst street ever. And I was like, that's our Mardi Gras. Okay, so give me the setup to your punk band's name was
Egghead.
Sure. And
well, we were three kind of nerdy guys. We were like three guys who all had glasses, and we decided to lean into it. So we all wore like matching outfits, like striped shirts or whatever.
That's great.
And we just were not great. So we decided to lean into that and just be kind of loud and fast. And we were still poppy.
And what did you play?
Bass.
You played bass?
Bass, and I sang half the songs.
Okay. So what was the lead into playing this squat that you mentioned?
We were on a little tour of the East Coast, and there was early days of the internet, we're like, this would have been 97.
Napster, yeah.
I might have even been pre-Napster, little girl. I'm sorry.
So we were using
That was incredibly condescending.
No. I was still using my AOL CDs to get 15 free hours.
No, it would have been via my AOL account. I would book tours, and you would find like there would be like message boards or
of people wanting people to play.
Yeah, of like little places like, listen, if you're going through this part of the country, this guy throws house parties. This guy is a promoter who does small shows. This guy is a bar who books punk bands on Tuesday nights.
Interesting. So this is like pre-Craigslist and everything like that.
Yeah, but you would find it, you couldn't. The big problem is that you still had to text, and we didn't have a cell phone, but you could use the internet insofar as you could send somebody an email and be like, hey, we're going to be coming through town this day. Do you have any openings? Do you know anybody who has an opening? And that's how you would book a tour at this level, and we do it ourselves. It was really very
no managers
scrappy.
involved.
No, it was mostly me, which is, by the way, if I'm like the logistic voice of your band, you're fucked. But I'm not but we made it work. We got as far as Athens, Georgia, and then back up on which is not nothing coming from New York City.
No, that's pretty impressive.
But we would play like we'd do some clubs, and we'd get onto like some punk bills at clubs in like Knoxville, Tennessee. But then you'd play the really fun ones were like somebody would rent a hall in suburban Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And they'd rent a PA, and the bands would come in, and whoever came the furthest would get the largest chunk of the door. And it was, and the further away we got from home, the more money we made. And,
interesting.
And we're talking like, $90 on a good night.
Millions of dollars.
But millions of dollars, and it gasses us up, and we're off to the next place. And if we eat at Waffle House, we're fine, So it was this incredible sort of scrappy do-it-yourself experience.
That's so fun.
It was really fun. It was a young man's game.
Sure.
Young man's game.
Okay.
But I'm glad I had it.
But question for all the inquiring minds that want to know, is Egghead's music still available for people to listen to on the internet anywhere?
We did a reunion record between the birth of my two kids.
Okay.
And you can find that on any streaming platform. It's called Egghead Would Like a Few Words with You.
That's amazing. All the best hits?
And it it's just an album. It wasn't like a compilation. It was stuff we hadn't recorded first off. The early stuff is not available streaming anywhere. Every once in a while somebody posts it on YouTube. But the 2009 record is, or 2010? 2009, because it's before Walter was born.
Okay.
It's right there, and it has My Daughter Can Fuck Up Your Daughter, which was our hit.
Well, and dedicated to your child. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's very sentimental, very sweet.
And with as a bonus track, the clean version, My Daughter Can Mess Up Your Daughter.
Whoa!
So you can listen to it in front of your daughter. You're welcome.
Okay, that's incredible. I'm going to listen to that. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get to the internet questions that have, this really informs me about a guest, is when I seek out questions from the internet.
Who would bother to post a question for John Ross Bowie online?
No.
Who has that much free time?
Just the specifics that they want to know about you really allows me to know who you are as a person.
To keep it fresh, I just skimmed. I didn't look very
good.
I didn't look very closely at the responses.
Okay, well, we'll be right back, and you'll give some specific answers.
Okay.
We'll be right back with more Not Too Deep.
Not too deep.
This episode of Not Too Deep is brought to you by Cafe Monster. For many of us, Jack, you know this all too well. The day doesn't start until we get that morning energy boost. I'm talking about coffee.
Oh, you're talking about coffee.
And
now there's a new way to enjoy your daily cup of joe thanks to Cafe Monster.
Mm-hmm. It's available in vanilla, mocha, and salted caramel. Cafe Monster is shaking up the ready-to-drink coffee category with indulgent gourmet coffee that's only 190 calories.
Not to mention with 150 milligrams of caffeine from coffee beans, B vitamins, and coffee fruit extract, Cafe Monster offers a simplified energy blend that contains a third less sugar, than the leading national brand.
In fact, it's 100 fewer calories per bottle than the competition, but you would never know it by tasting it.
Instead, you get the same feel and flavor as your local coffee house without having to wait in line.
That's my favorite part. The lack of human interaction that has to happen to get this caffeine into my body. Not to mention the flavors are so delicious.
Yeah. Well, the mocha, you told me to try the mocha.
The mocha is literally like chocolate milk.
It is like chocolate milk, yeah.
And it's
delicious.
Dangerously delicious.
Yeah, guys, try it. Trust me, it's really good.
Cafe Monster, chill it down, shake it up, enjoy.
Not too deep.
Support for today's show comes from Rothy's. Rothy's shoes are stylish, sustainable, and comfortable enough for everyday wear anywhere. I wear flats all the time. I'm a tall lady, and these are some of the most comfortable, stylish little flats. I got ones that have like a little cute giraffe print going on because I'm very into animal prints on my feet, and I can attest that they are so comfortable, so stylish, and so sustainable. With 3 fashionable styles, the flat, the point, and the loafer for women and girls, and an amazing color and pattern selection that's always getting updated. Not to mention, they're the softest shoe that you will put on your feet. Seriously, you won't believe that they're made from recycled plastic water bottles. I'm dead serious. And a major added bonus, they're machine washable because let's face it, our feet sweat, we get gross. I can attest to this. I'm a human walking garbage pile of trash. And these shoes make me feel beautiful. I love my Rothy's, and I know you will too. Right now, Rothy's has an amazing deal for you beautiful listeners. Use code GRACE to get free shipping, no minimum. That's free shipping and free returns and exchanges on your Rothy's shoe when you go to Rothy's, ROTHYS.com, and enter code GRACE. This is a no-brainer. Shoes that are comfortable, stylish, and sustainable, plus free shipping. Get yourself a pair today, Rothys.com. Promo code GRACE. Get this deal while it lasts. Okay, I'm going to ask you the 2 questions I ask every single guest that's on the podcast. And the first is, who, alive or dead, would you most want to throw cold spaghetti at?
Most want to throw cold spaghetti at. Golly. It's hard to say, but I'm going to go with young pre-dementia Reagan.
Oh, okay.
Probably get him while he's still governor of California and get him out of politics.
Well, he remembers it.
Yeah, well, he remembers it. And because I also just don't want to throw spaghetti at someone who's going through that. That's rough. But
sure.
But someone who was at like a bifurcation point where I could just be an amiable old character actor like Fred McMurray, or I could just start fucking up the world, because there's so much that's wrong right now that you can trace back to the policies of Reagan in the early 80s. And I think his political offspring, I don't know how political you get on this show. I know it's called Not Too Deep, but I feel like his political offspring are still doing damage. And so that I go with young Reagan.
I thought you were going to say young Sheldon. So I'm glad.
I got no beef. I got no beef with young Sheldon. I got no beef with young Sheldon. Bless their heart. Bless their heart. He was single camera, and then he went multi-camera when he got into his 30s. I don't know how that happened, but
choices. Okay, the other question I ask every guest is tell us your worst pants shitting story or close call. But you can only use 3 words or small phrases or an intermix of the 2. Mine, for example, is college, jogging, front lawn.
One's a hyphenate?
You can do whatever you want.
I'm saying one word is a hyphenate. I'm warning you in advance.
Got it.
Pan Am, building, temping.
Oh.
Wow. Okay. So that was your quickest temp job. Got it.
Yeah, that was only a couple of days. And when I just threw out my underwear and raw dogged it for the rest of the day. I just commandoed it the rest of the day. Wearing khakis, by the way, so there, but for the grace of God. But managed to keep it a secret. If they noticed, they didn't say anything. But disastrous.
To be fair, you are not the first person to tell me that they've had to throw out their underwear in the middle of New York City somewhere. That's the statistic I want in New York, is how many times a day someone is having to cut themselves out of their own underwear and throw it in the garbage and just deal.
Well, because you don't,
you have nothing.
You have nothing, but you also pack for the day.
Right. Yeah.
You leave your house in the morning, you pack for the day,
right.
but you're never going to get home again.
Right.
Once you leave in the morning, unless you're super unemployed, you're just not going to go back.
No, that's why I still carry bags, and I still put extra clothes and extra things in my car, as if what is the worst possible thing that could happen? happen to me today and leave me completely like on an island of one.
And you have that luxury in LA, and you don't in New York. But yeah, I asked my Pete on the way to the it's now the MetLife building on top of Grand Central Station.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it used to be the Pan Am building. So I managed to date myself in the story rather handsomely as well. And I wish I remember what the industry that I was temping in was. I don't, oddly enough, which is not like me. But I remember it was a very like I went in. It was a very like a lot of oak in the office. It was really beautiful, really. And I was like, yeah, I'm all set. Where's the restroom? Yeah. This is my workstation. Great. I'm like right back.
I'm going to leave my mark. Thank you for having me. Okay, now we're going to get into these Twitter questions. Someone wants to know, what's the best way to awkwardly end a conversation?
You shit your pants on the way to a temp job.
There you go. I think that is actually pretty perfect. And also, like, the other person can't tell you no.
You get out of the conversation, they have a story, everybody wins.
That's true. Someone wants to know, how great does it feel being on Grace's podcast?
Oh, that's a joke about the Kripke speech impediment.
Yeah. Okay. How was that for you?
I'm off the clock, guy. Listen, all right.
Yeah. No, I know.
I don't do this. I didn't do the speech impediment for my.
Have you ever had anyone come up to? I mean, I'm sure maybe you have had people come up and be like, "Do the voice."
Oh God, yes.
Really?
Oh God, I've been asked to like leave. I've been asked to. I did it once for charity. I actually left an outgoing message for somebody on their voicemail.
That's very kind. Yeah.
With the speech impediment. Yeah, people have asked me to do it, and I mean, I'm not a dick. I will do it, and it's fine.
Okay, and I also like to ask, like, what's your most awkward encounter with someone that's a fan or knows the show or knows something that you've been in or is obsessed with the band, etc.?
All right, I'm going to spare you the super duper details.
Okay, and just the super details,
I know the
please.
show's called Not Too Deep, but I got to go a little deep for a moment.
Please.
I lost my mom this past summer.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And it was a total shock. We did not see it coming. She was fine, and then she was not. She was gone.
Okay.
And she totally like French exited. You know.
Wow.
And
Irish goodbye.
Yeah, and I went back to New York, and I met my cousin came in from Jersey. Actually, she was she works in Newark, and she's like the closest thing I have to a sibling out there. And I was like, if you should come in, I need some help with some logistical stuff. She comes off the train at Penn Station, and she's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "Well, it's a whole thing. Like, I gotta talk to the medical examiner's office, and it's gonna take. There's some stuff. It's gonna take a couple of days to handle the identifying of the body, and then I gotta once that's identified, then we can get a death certificate. But we're not out of the woods. We gotta take the death certificate down to the surrogate court. Surrogate court has to vet me to make sure that I can have access to my mom's apartment, which is padlocked by the police right now. So they have to make sure that I'm the only living heir or whatever. I'm going into like these gnarly details, and someone goes by and goes, "What's going on, Kripke?"
Oh my God.
Yeah, I haven't told that story publicly yet. That's the first time I told that story publicly. And I looked at my cousin and I was like, should I tell them?
You want to in on this conversation?
Funny you should ask. It's a lot is going on.
We're at the padlock part of the conversation.
Just because, because it could be anybody, right? So they gotta, probably dental records since you've asked.
Oh my God.
There's a lot, yeah.
But then also, in a way, like, pops a very intense balloon.
It popped a very intense balloon. We had an amazing laugh out of it.
Good.
And look, it's not often that, like, no one in my family is in the entertainment industry. So
really, no one is.
No one. And so it's gotta be, it's like the rare moment where, like, oh, I guess John does have his challenges in his day to day.
Yeah, your cousin must have like seen a brand new side of your world.
She saw a brand new side of my world that like I don't think she's very empathetic, but you can never expect,
You can never explain that to someone
that
unless
aspect
they
of the job
it.
Of like that. And again, I walk around the streets, unbothered most days.
Sure, but you're also
But I have given up a certain amount of privacy and never was it more apparent.
Oh my, that almost feels, I don't know your mom, but it almost feels like your mom sending this like,
oh, she would have found it hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This was exactly
the perfect moment for that to happen. Yeah.
She would have found it funny, no question. That's one of the reasons I'm able to tell you.
No, but that's also, an incredibly sad but beautiful moment that you're like, the universe works in weird ways.
It really does. It really does. You'll take your laughs where you can get them, John.
And also the speech impediment will never, ever leave. Okay. Someone wants to know the most memorable moment from filming Speechless. I mean, because you guys are still filming, right?
Yeah, we're started season 3.
Yeah, season 3 will have started by the time this podcast is out.
Okay. There's a little backlog of 5 weeks on Hulu, I believe.
It's also, you can watch it on YouTube. You can buy episodes on YouTube.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. That's great.
I did that this morning.
Splendid. You were cramming. There's been a lot. Because
you guys shoot in LA?
We shoot in LA, but we shot our season premiere in London.
Really?
Yeah, we went to London for our season premiere. The story being that we have to go ask Minnie Driver's dad for money, and Minnie Driver's dad was John Cleese, which was crazy. But I mean, we shut down Trafalgar Square right in front of the National Portrait Gallery. National Portrait Galleries in DC, and we had this like massive location permit to shoot right in the middle of London, and I felt like James Bond.
That's nuts.
And the crew was like, "Oh, we never shoot around here. No, we always shoot down in Wimbledon. We'd never shoot in central London like this." And it really was like where the Bourne movies shoot, like right in the middle in front of the fountains and everything, and looky-loos and everything. And it looks amazing. I just saw some footage. It looks incredible. And you're like, yeah, you got the most out of London. But that was pretty awesome.
What a crazy experience to be like, oh, we're just shutting down this giant like portion of London just for you guys to shoot this.
It's like shutting down a chunk of Times Square or Hollywood and Highland. I mean, it really is a massively foot trafficked area that we occupied for 3 hours.
I think I would be incredibly riddled with anxiety, like having to perform within the time restraints or constraints of like this whole, like everything being held up for this.
Yeah, I made sure that I was like 110% off book going into it. I mean, I'm always pretty diligent about that, but I was like really like,
we got to be on point.
We don't get this
right.
Right. We're in a position where we don't get this wrong because every take has to be usable because who knows?
Yeah.
And so it was. But yeah, there was just like tons of like sightseers, and then people recognize me from Big Bang, which is actually pretty big over in the UK.
Oh yeah, that must be cool.
It's
like
cool,
the global appeal of all of it.
It is cool, but there was also just a lot of like people taking photos and right behind the people who were paid to take my photo for the show. So that was a little intense, but yeah, it was great. And it's a fun city anyway. Yeah, it was really cool.
That's super cool. Okay, someone wants to know, what's the most inappropriate question you've been asked in interviews? I would say I would like kind of expand this to like, what's the question that you're just sick of answering? Because I'm sure Big Bang and your whole history in entertainment.
Look, I will continue to answer it politely. But
sure, but what's the one that you like?
It's the question about the speech impediment, whose idea it was.
Oh, whose idea it was?
Yeah, because it was.
Oh, whether it was yours or a writer's?
Yeah, whether I brought it to the audition or whether it was in the script, and the answer is neither. It was sprung on me in the audition.
Oh, interesting.
Chuck Lorre thought it might be interesting to give the guy a certain amount of vulnerability, and he asked for Bill
R's
Prady.
To be W's.
No, they asked for something far more subtle. They asked for like sort of that Tom Brokaw Liquid L thing. And I'm like, yeah, sure, absolutely. You're nodding. You know what I mean, right? And I was like, yeah, I can absolutely do that. That's subtle and understated. And instead I did this Elmer Fudd thing. And we are literally 10 years later talking about it.
Well, I won't ask you anything else about it.
It's fine. I will. I would prefer not to, but I will absolutely graciously continue to answer that question.
Because you're a kind person.
I have my moments.
I respect you very much. What's the best heckle you've ever heard? Someone wants to know. I'm sure you blocked this. I mean, have you guys ever had in Big Bang, like someone in the audience ever like have to be controlled?
Do you want to get shot by the Warner Brothers cops? Hell no. God, no. That is a controlled environment.
Really?
Yeah. And also the people who get there, because it's hard to get tickets for that taping. They want to be there. Yeah. No, I've never had heckling at a we haven't done enough. I did a ton of improv, but it's for whatever reason, improv doesn't get a lot of hecklers.
Or if
I got mocked one time doing stand-up. I haven't done a ton of stand-up.
I was going to say, have you ever done stand-up?
I've done it maybe 12 times, 13 times maybe.
I'm terrified of it.
Well, I did it because I was terrified. And I was like, there's
Follow your fear.
Follow your fear. There's people out there who like go into combat. I can handle standing up for a brick wall and telling jokes,
Fair assessment,
yeah,
yes.
so it was part of me trying to like kind of, aversion therapy it. But,
sure.
You know what? It's funny. I don't remember being heckled, but I remember kind of bombing at, if you've driven past the Ha Ha Cafe on Lancashire.
Yes.
Okay, so it's called the Ha Ha Cafe for one thing, which hilarious.
Should let you know it's a place for people that are funny.
So I'm up there, and my wife and I were like daring each other right after we moved here to do stand up, and we would.
Oh, really?
We would go out and we would like put together 5 minutes, and we had enough friends that we could get thrown on to like some sort of Tuesday night.
So you'd
thing.
both go do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I remember bombing, but getting polite laughter from the man sitting down in front, who was David Faustino from Married with Children. And because that's what happens when you bomb in LA. You bomb in front of someone you recognize. And I remember just being like, not noticing until I was up on stage, like, it's like, hey, hi, I'm John. And like, it's David Faustino from Married with Children. And he was laughing very politely. He was right up in front. Like he was so close that like the stage light is hitting him too, Yeah. And David, if you're listening to this, and I'm sure
he's a huge fan. Yeah.
You were very gracious, and you probably don't remember it, or maybe you do. God, but I do, and you were very gracious, and thank you for being kind to me. I don't do stand. If you're wondering, no, I don't do stand up very often anymore.
Wow.
Thank you for asking.
What a heckle story! I mean, if you're gonna
it wasn't even a heckle story. It was just like this. It was just bombing in front of somebody I recognized.
That's pretty. I mean, and also that he was sitting front row. I mean, he came there to find new talent.
I guess so. I guess he did, yeah.
Well, you're manifesting. Maybe you guys will work together in the future. Here's hoping.
I do in a heartbeat.
Oh, really?
Oh, hell yeah. Why
okay.
not? Yeah.
Well, we've reached the end of the podcast.
Okay.
This has been super, super fun.
This has been great, yeah.
And thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all your stories. Every guest that makes time for being on the podcast, we try to create a special personalized fortune cookie for. So we wanted to give you the gift for giving us the gift of your time. It's a personalized fortune cookie just for you.
I open it here, I take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
This is fresh. This is a fresh fortune cookie.
Yep. If stale means fresh, then yep.
No, they're individually wrapped. They're fresh.
Yeah.
The office you used to work at thought you were just taking a long vacation to find yourself and are still expecting you back. The temp at your old desk is confused and very tired. I bet. It's like 20 plus years.
Yeah. Not so much a fortune.
I hope he went full time. Because I hate to think of a guy staying for 20 years without health benefits.
And God bless that janitor that had to take out that garbage full of shitty underwear.
Not full of there, unless somebody else did it. I just put my one.
The one of the day. John, thank you again so much for being here.
It's my pleasure.
Where can people find you online? Where can they see anything that you're working on? What's coming up? Let people know.
Speechless premieres October 5th, Friday, October 5th at 8:30. TGIF. Thank God it's funny.
Yay.
And I will be promoting the hell out of it on my various social media platforms where I am at John Ross Bowie at Twitter, Instagram, and occasionally Tumblr.
I mean, yeah, step it aside. I fully get it. That's the brand now. But thank you.
What am I, 19?
Also, please, for all of you that go out there and listen to Egghead music, please tweet at me where I can listen to it directly because I gotta get informed.
Get in there.
And I'm now the grassroots promoter for the second reunion.
Oh, bless your heart. Bless your heart.
We'll see you guys next time on another episode of Not Too Deep. Goodbye.
Too deep, too deep, too deep, not too deep with Grace Helbig.
Cafe Monster is shaking up the ready-to-drink coffee category with indulgent gourmet coffee that's only 190 calories. Available in vanilla, mocha, and salted caramel. With 150 milligrams of caffeine from coffee beans, B vitamins, and coffee fruit extract in every bottle, Cafe Monster offers a simplified energy blend that contains a third less sugar than the leading national brand. But you still get all the feel and flavor of your local coffee house. You just don't have to wait in line. And I got to tell you guys, these flavors are delicious. Try the mocha. Trust me, it tastes like chocolate milk. Delicious. Cafe Monster. Drink it down, shake it up, enjoy.
Not Too Deep is a production of Grace Helbig Incorporated, producer and directed by Jack Ferry.
Producer and editor, Melissa D. Montz.
Writing by Diane Kang.
Production assistance by Adriana Monteagudo.
Post-production sound by Chris Henry.
And an extra special thanks to Flula for the theme music.